Well, I'm back with Cindy Schuricht, and we're talking about the Grizzlies' Christmas. And we've talked about how she adapted the book. And now I wanted to ask you, Cindy, how did you get to know Malcolm?
Well, Malcolm Farmer was the anthropology teacher at my college, which was a very small college. So um, I took a class from him, and he uh, he kind of comes across on first meeting as sort of gruff, kind of person, and I don't know that I even ever quite realized too many other parts of him as I was a student. I was kind of a quiet person who didn't initiate too many individual relationships with my professors, although there were several. And his class, what I remember most about his class was he would give these lectures that where he would just say so many things. There was so much richness in what he said that I'd start thinking about one of his comments and would kind of go off on a line with what he'd said and where those thoughts were taking me. And about 10 minutes later, I would realize I had no idea where the lecture was. And I would come back and try to understand, okay, what are we talking about now? What's going on? Until he said something else that sent me down another path. So I missed a lot in his class, but I got a lot out of it too because of all the connections he made between the things that you were learning. Then after college, again, since Whittier was a small community, you could have um, you could have a more personal relationship with people. And Malcolm's wife Anne was in the English department, and I worked with her as I was an English coach. Um, and then we had mutual friends that after college and moving away, starting a family, um, we would visit the mutual friends, and often Anne and Malcolm would be there too. So we were able to continue our relationship. It was pretty sporadic, and it was Christmas card and one or two visits a year kind of thing. But it served to maintain and keep us in touch. And then a few years ago, I decided that it needed to be more. We'd, we'd fallen out of touch because the mutual friends had both died, and I knew I wanted to get back to seeing Anne and Malcolm. By this time, Malcolm was in his not late 90s, his early to mid 90s, and as we rebuilt our friendship, also he asked me to work on this story. About a month after that, he died, and Anne and I decided to continue with the book as a memorial to him. In terms of his early history, of course, before I knew him, he he first became interested in anthropology when he was about 11 years old. His father was a contractor, and they were clearing a lot and did some blasting, and they found some artifacts. Well, Malcolm was allowed to go along to see more blasting. I mean, what, what little boy isn't interested in explosions? And and also to see some of these artifacts, and that kind of hooked him. So later on, he studied anthropology both at the University of Arizona and did his graduate work at the University of Washington, and he worked with some Navajo people doing projects with them, and was adopted into a clan and given the name of the tall young person in the canyon. That's the translation. I can't say the real name. Um, he worked at several museums, including the Museum of Man here in San Diego. He was a director there for a time, and then he went into teaching and spent the rest of his career at Whittier College. After he retired, he really started focusing on bears and getting more interested in the relationship between people and bears.
Oh, you had a picture you were going to show of Malcolm?
Oh, yes. Thank you for
So,
reminding me.
oh,
And
okay.
as I look at this picture, I think I can sort of see a little bit of a bear there, too.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you very much, Cindy.